Now, David Moepeng is a well-known cyber psychologist who has taken his time. The guy actually pulled out of media to go and do a master's in the UK, came back with a master's in cyber psychology, started CyberSmart Botswana, and he's currently within one of the most known cybersecurity experts or psychologists within the African continent, with a few roles, of course, within the continent. Now, David Moepeng is an award-winning journalist or reporter, as we'd remember him. But today we're in conversation with him, and we are talking about some other things that are happening within the country. We've seen changes of government and so on. However, there is still a big problem of cybersecurity in the country, not because the country is not doing anything, but because maybe as a people we might not be learning. I don't know, but we'll learn from him, right? Man.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
A very good day to have you here, and it's a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's a pleasure being here.
Yeah, you know, these days seeing you, someone has to call different countries to check where you might be.
And you know what I do? So WhatsApp call is my default, calling mode platform. Yeah. So people are always asking me, how come you always use WhatsApp call? To some I say for security reasons, so you don't know where I am.
Yeah.
But mostly because I travel a lot, so I'm just used to using WhatsApp call when I'm, calling people.
And it's becoming more
even
and
when
more
I'm here in
comfortable.
Botswana.
It's becoming more and more comfortable anyway and cheaper.
Happy it's secure.
Yeah.
End-to-end encrypted.
Exactly. Which also I don't think we understand what that is.
Yes.
I see end-to-end encryption and so on. I'm like, yeah, but someone else has got a server somewhere listening. How do we know that it's really that safe?
I mean, of course, it's just that it's difficult to be intercepted. But yes, there are tools that can be used to intercept WhatsApp conversations, WhatsApp calls. But it's difficult, extremely difficult.
All right. So let's look at Botswana and this, obviously, cybersecurity. There's a Data Protection Act and so on. Legally speaking, are we a compliant nation in terms of the laws that we've put together?
I think just like in everything else, when it comes to policies, laws, strategies, we're always doing very well in that regard as a country. The challenge always comes to when it comes to implementation, enforcement. We have, when it comes to issues around, data protection, we have the Data Protection Act. When it comes to cybersecurity, we have had a national cybersecurity strategy for quite some time now. It was approved by Cabinet in 2020. We are currently working on coming up with a Cybersecurity Act as well as a Digital Services Act. A bit late though, but I think we're on the right track. Compared to other countries, we're doing very well in making sure that our legal frameworks are on point. My worry is always, with digital technologies, it evolves rapidly. Things move fast. When it comes to the tech, space, and although we are on the right track in terms of making sure that our legal frameworks are on point, we need to move things faster. We are extremely exposed as a nation, as a society, because we are moving very slow when it comes to making sure that we have safeguards in place. I believe that if we were to move things faster, we can catch up with the rest of the world.
Yeah. But is it not because generally as Botswana, we've always felt we are not using as much, we're not doing as much? Are we using internet equivalent to, or at least as much as the rest of the world is doing?
Here's how I think we're not doing things in the right manner. We are pushing connectivity, aggressively pushing connectivity.
And we are fully connected. I mean, I brag a lot about just how, when I travel the world, I brag a lot about just how in Botswana, you can stand under a tree somewhere in the middle of nowhere and access Wi-Fi. Yeah. I lean by a fence at some school, some clinic, somewhere, in like the remotest of the remote areas in Botswana and connect to the internet. You don't get this in most African countries, So we're doing very well in that regard in terms of making sure that we're pushing connectivity and access. Where there's a problem is meaningful access, and making sure that people are empowered and equipped for them to be able to use technology, to use the internet and put this access to good use. And also
make sure that they're using the internet safely. I don't think we have anything comprehensive for us to say, okay, access, we're okay. But is the Botswana empowered? Do they understand? Can they put this access to good use? That's where there's a problem.
All right. So, but Botswana educated though on the use of technology. Can I remember, I think the first class of computer studies in government curricula started about 1999-ish, coming this direction. But not a lot of, it's an option in school. It's not mandatory to do it.
Okay, here's the thing. At the beginning, we focused a lot on functional skills, on like
Word documents,
on operating the computer, and as technology becomes part of our social lives and it becomes intertwined with our social lives, and whether it's at a family level, at a household level, at a social friendship level and things like that, technology is at the center of driving the way we engage, the way we interact, the way we relate nowadays. So it now becomes more than just a tool that is there just to be operated. It now requires more competencies beyond just the functional competencies. Hence we talk of things like digital citizenship, understanding that technology as a tool can be used to advance whether it's citizenry, whether it's socially, whether it's professionally, whether it's financially. In all aspects of life, technology is there. So we need to understand that for us to be able to use it meaningfully, we must understand what competencies do we need to use technology meaningfully, or to use technology to advance socially. What competencies do we need for us to use technology to build ourselves as a nation, as a citizen? And how do we use it responsibly to advance citizenry rather than just, hella, it's a tool, is there, therefore we're good, we're happy. You have to ask yourself that question as a Botswana, what is my obligation towards building a nation, towards building a society, ideally, like the same way we talk of things like Vision 2036, there are things there listed. What do I need to do for me to contribute to the growth, to the advancement of our society? So it works the same way. Even in digital spaces, what do I do to make sure that as we digitalized as a society, I use technology responsibly and meaningfully so that I can contribute to the advancement of our nation, our society. So all these things, they matter a lot beyond just operator, beyond just, to send an email, to click here, word processing and things like that. It requires a lot more. And those are the things that we should be focusing on.
But on a background of Botswana, just essentially looking at them, how would they learn to meaningfully use technology or meaningfully use their computers and their phones and so on? How do we get them to understand? And what is this meaningful usage that we talk of?
Yeah, we should be intentional about empowering Botswana to use technology in a manner that we know it will benefit them first as an individual, their communities, and society as a whole. So when we're talking meaningful use, we're talking, productive use, using technology to move forward, using technology positively, using technology to grow, either at, an individual level, at a household level, at a community level, we have to be thinking about these things. Or okay, kids and so internet, let's pick any village, for instance. Kids and so go letakan, clinicking, go primary schooling, and all the other public facilities that you can think of. How do we make sure that all these people, when they are there, they are doing something that can contribute meaningfully, positively to their own lives first and their communities? I'll give you an example. We embark on digital skills, awareness campaigns and public education programs, partnering with Bokra. About a year ago, we were conducting a seminar for out-of-school youth Koramotswa. These are young people by Lengore. They dropped out of school maybe at Form 3 level. Maybe they didn't pass, so they couldn't proceed to a senior secondary school. And then you would have like we would have like 50 participants, all of them like 16, 17-year-olds, with smartphones. And you ask them, what do you guys use these smartphones for? They'll just tell you, okay, now, okay, WhatsApp, okay, Facebook, okay, TikTok, or and maybe Instagram. Okay, what do you do? I do nothing. So like a form 3. Do you know that there are courses?
Free ones.
Free courses online. You have free access to the internet. You have a mobile device. This thing is a powerful tool. Maybe records, but all we see in these things are things that we can just use hella for just, simple tasks. Socialize, chat, check about Facebook, WhatsApp, and not tools that they can use to acquire skills that they can use at a later stage. Whether it's in terms of proceeding with their education and prior learning, evidence of prior learning, they can get certifications, or whether it's a job opportunity that comes up and what skills do you have? If it's a form 3 and you go online and you do all these courses and you acquire skills, maybe it's coding skills, maybe it's cybersecurity skills, whatever. So you actually stand a better chance. Somebody who's coming out of university and they don't have these skills. Yeah. All they have is just a basic degree. So now what we need to start looking at is also building a positive mindset. We're being given these tools. What are our attitudes towards these tools? What attitudes do we need to build and instill in our people towards these tools? What habits, what behaviors do we build? Because without these things, without the basics, then there won't be any meaningful use. So meaningful use basically means thinking about all these things. It works the same way with when you get a driver's license. We have developed a system. You can't just rock up to apply a driver's license. There are processes that you must go through. Or test the way, and even then, there are Mapodisi, they run, road safety awareness campaigns. And, when they're there, they talk about, behaviors and habits. Some motorists, they don't just focus on, how make sure that you observe how and things like that. They discuss things beyond that, things analyzable, drinking and driving, making sure that you rest when you feel fatigued and things like that. So even with technology, we need to make sure that we address issues around attitudes, habits, behaviors when it comes to online practices.
So now we get to this point where Botswana, we know, have always been afraid of technology in a way. And this is people who say, mahudamu internet thing. People are going to scam you in the internet, so on. How do they know that the courses they're going to take or the meaningful engagement they're going to go into actually has got value in terms of advancing their life, and it's actually safe to be in that space? Information.
Yeah, and that is why the focus of our programs is empowerment. Yeah. You understand? So when it comes to the use of technology, there are 2 key aspects, right? There is the behavioral, the psychological aspect, and then there's the technical. The technical, in most cases, is already taken care of. It's what do you do with this? How do you just understanding the technical functionalities of technology? Yeah. In most cases, people acquire those skills quickly. Okay. You have a device now, your phone, you just, you're exploring. You would find that even young people, they know these things. I get. And most of the time is because they spend time, but it's about just exploring, going there and learning how these things work. It is the behavioral side that, for me, I believe is key. If you don't build that, then your use of technology, yes, you are able to build, you are able to do that. You are not going to use it meaningfully. Hence we see people, some people using it to, abuse others, to bully others, for wrong reasons, for things that don't build them. So how do we then make sure people have an understanding of how they can use technology meaningfully? It starts with comprehensive awareness, comprehensive public education. And it can begin right from curriculum level, Koskolo. We must make sure that digital literacy is part and parcel of our education system. We have been talking about it for a while, and I think we're slow, more integrating digital literacy into our curriculum. You would hear, actually we have computer studies and things like that. But when you look at the syllabus setting, the focus are more on the functional skills rather than on the psychological aspect of engagement with technology, digital citizenship, digital literacy, awareness raising, the behaviors. There is less on that. So hence we are now pushing for changing our life skills education to include more life skills for digital spaces, for the digital era, because life is taking place more where?
On the social space.
Yeah, or increasingly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we obviously would want to work around the psychology and behavior of a person.
Yeah.
What is it that we do to tahela maranyaning or in the internet that shows bad behavior or unfair behavioral usage of technology?
Yeah, I mean, my observation over the years, working as a cybersecurity awareness specialist or online safety specialist, is and this is out of lack of understanding of how technology functions, and how it relates with us as users. There's a lot involved that we need to be aware of. It's not just you getting a device away in Elangwana, you're a little busy, they're playing games, whatever they're doing, whatever. There are habits that form as one interacts with technology. And those habits, we need to start building positive habits right at the beginning. So the day you give one a phone, hore I dirisehela passively and to play games, then later on, what do we then say? We say to Bana, you never do anything educational, you never watch educational channels. It's because from day one,
it was
the game. And also where we give kids these gadgets so that they can stay away from us while we're busy doing whatever. Right? So there's no guidance right from the beginning. Right? So it's important that there is parental guidance right from the beginning. And you're demonstrating, you're showing them, you're directing them to platforms online. Later on, dikaba benefit. Yeah, at the beginning, where there are educational channels, educational cartoons, and all these things. But we need to be involved. Let's make sure that we drive them towards something. Eventually, it will help them develop skills or attitudes and behaviors and habits builder, rather than they know from day one, social media, like that's how we looked at social media at the beginning. Yeah. Social media was introduced to us and we know is, where you just, if you can have 5,000 friends, push for the maximum number of friends, push for likes, push for views. And that's all we look for on social media. We forget, you can have 100 friends, whoever you are connected with, whether it's LinkedIn, by 100. When you share something, or you can learn something from them, right? When they share things, they can help you, and you can access opportunities on the basis of who you are connected with, what the platforms you go to, the content that you consume. If that is not built in from the beginning, it becomes a challenge at a later stage, because when this is a place I go to just to mess around.
But when you look at the foundation of social media equivalent usage, you make me think back to Idumela. I don't know if
I remember Idumela very well.
But that behavior is back then, before we had Facebook. This was 10 years before Facebook. Yeah. We had a social forum.
We did.
Where Botswana went to post these things. And in Idumela, every bad thing was being said there.
Yeah.
Every leakage from government, whatever, was leaking there.
Yeah.
We see the same thing now with the way we use just Facebook. It's just a duplicate of what used to happen in Idumela.
Yeah.
It's now in social media. That to me doesn't feel like it's a technology thing. It's us as a people thing, or we are the people with the challenge of using dilo.
Yeah, because you remember, we have to be intentional about the norms that we want.
Yeah.
As a society. We do that with all the other things. We know when it comes to issues the family, there are norms. Issues of GBV, we talk about them. A family must be structured like this. No abuse. Respect for one another. We have the norms. They must grow up with respect, and they should look at elders like this. Those things. It wasn't just something. You understand? It's because there were values and norms that were instilled in every generation. Right? So, but when it comes to online spaces, right? We have had these conversations to say, listen, how do we make sure that, we carry it along?
Yeah.
Right? We have to be thinking about that. And we need to be intentional about making sure that we promote that. We are not doing anything. There's nothing that we are doing as a society, Botswana, to drive youth engagement online towards certain norms. Online, this is how you must carry yourself. This is how you must conduct yourself. Those things are the
Yeah.
But whether we need institutions that can drive this, we should do that. Whether we need programs, whether we need to communicate, with young people, certain messages, and make sure that we remind them of who they are and who they ought to be. It has to be done. It can be done through our education system. It can be done through other social programs that we have. We already do these things. HIV/AIDS, there was a way we were communicating it. Alcohol abuse, drug use, there's a way we communicate it. Road safety, there's a way we communicate these things. But when it comes to the issues of engagement online,
is it because now we are doppelganging ourselves? We have a tendency to have me on LinkedIn, me on Facebook, me on Instagram, me on Twitter, and me in the physical form.
Yeah.
This is 5 different people. Yeah. We seem to have that a lot as Botswana. I would have a problem with you now. I'm not going to talk to you about it, but I am going to insult you somewhere.
Yeah.
That's how. Is it because we think Maranyani we are safe from? Could we absolve ourselves from physical actions by putting them on the internet?
Yeah, because people do that because they think there are no consequences.
Yeah.
Right? We do have laws, and few people report incidents of abuse and cyberbullying, for instance, because Barma Podisi. And also what we have observed is Botswana police, for instance, yes, people are right. They are very slow at addressing issues of abuse that take place online. A lot of people will tell you, "Nake skemilo salagi report, nake cyberbully salagi report, and nothing is happening." So we need to be proactive in making sure that these things are addressed, and there are examples. They're super. Somebody abused motor online. Somebody abused the internet. We have the Cybercrime and Computer-Related Crimes Act. There are listed offenses there. Cyber stalking, cyber harassment. All these things.
But are these things we know as a people, as Botswana, or is it because we downloaded something from either EU or Euro or America, and then we just said, okay, this is what the model of the law is, let's use it. But stalking. Has anyone physically been arrested for stalking?
You see, that's the thing. So if I've never heard then I'm going to do it. This thing you can get away with.
So even though I didn't know even safer.
Hey, so even people are losing money every day to scam us.
Yeah.
Yeah. But reported the cases, nothing happens. You have lost your money, it's gone. And then we also have the Communications Regulatory Authority Act. Establishes a MBOCRA.
Yeah.
There are listed offenses in there that include issues around the use of telecommunication systems, and that includes the internet, to spread malice, misinformation, disinformation, and share information that may be deemed to be misleading or to cause annoyance. All these things. Yes, sometimes there's a challenge in terms of classification of offenses, because what is annoying to me may not be
annoying to the person who's receiving the issue.
You understand? So we really need to work on fixing our legal frameworks and make sure that
maybe someone needs to poke into the curriculum of police college. These people know the law. My police of Botswana, they know the law. And they will arrest you for something, and they'll make sure you know why you are being arrested.
Yeah.
Maybe the curriculum there only speaks of but never talks about cyber issues. Maybe there's a need to poke.
Yes. In most cases, we have found that Mapodisi, they don't have an understanding of the issues on it as a cybercrime, because they are not trained. But also, the biggest challenge that we have, it's in vague classification of offenses in our laws. So some cases have been thrown out, go court, because of lack of evidence. So I think they reached a stage where get the cases on it. Sometimes what do they call it?
Loitering.
Not loitering. But something that has nothing to do with what's happening online.
And then you pay admission of guilt.
And then you pay 50 pula and then you're good to go. So that's we need to address those things so that people how action. But how about the I can do whatever and get away with it? That's why we're seeing this. We're in schools every day. Most of the schools that we go to, created a group, and when you go into those groups, I was at one school the other day, just this
public school or
both.
Okay.
And these kids came to me, so I was delivering a talk, and these kids came to me after, and then sponsored this group, and these are closed groups. They don't even know about them, and these things, the other day I received a call from a teacher go my own secondary school on link on Tarbanova my own senior secondary school where established this group, and it was somebody in these groups. According to the Cybercrime and Computer Related Crimes Act,
and I think also that needs to be re-educated back to the parents. I've had a scare of a similar nature. There's a group go school saying kids are talking about things, they're teaching each other things, they're sharing pornographic material in those groups.
Yeah.
And these are kids below the age of 15.
Yeah, my form one.
So how do we then manage this? Because boneke bana gongwe bile group tsa ba di bona o ngila bula phone wa ga mma go tlhanga le group tsona le yo ma wa le mo yone kana ra go le mo go yone go ira tsone di tswenda just duplicating that.
It's because kana batsadi le bone diotse we run a program called CyberSmart Parenting. So where we conduct seminars and workshops in schools, just to empower parents and equip them with the understanding, the knowledge they need, the skills they need for them to be able to provide effective parental guidance to Bana, particularly when it comes to the use of gadgets, the internet, making sure that they provide the guidance for effective use of these tools. So often you would find that a majority of parents, what they look for really is parental controls. So we usually show them, or it's more than that. You need to build habits, behaviors, the attitudes, more by name. Because once you have not addressed those, now these kids are very smart. She came up with she was able to download some parental control apps, and these kids are smart. They bypass those things, and then also, and then they lock her out.
Yeah, of the whole
Wi-Fi.
We are catch drunk. I don't know if you know what drunk is.
Yeah.
Hey, the sweetie sukiri. We have that culture Botswana where we believe but we learned how to do that. So this drunk mentality, because it's continuing even on the internet.
It's unfortunately that that comes with parenting.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's no any other way ya go avoid being there constantly, making sure that guys, you don't do this, you don't do this, you don't do this, and you don't get tired.
Yeah.
I'm a parent myself. My firstborn, but I see myself doing those 15, 16.
Yeah.
Because bana. You continue. And then here's the challenge. When it comes to the use of technology, a majority of parents, like I said, at the beginning, distracted.
Yeah.
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 Online.
But you see, I've seen posts saying where a parent I know, she's even older than me, has posted something about men and so on. And then at the same time, just after scrolling a little bit, I found out my mutual friend, we have Facebook. Yes, they're not friends on Facebook. But they're going to find each other.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So she's learning, or he's going to learn from the mother. Or no, this is how it happens. So how do I then modify myself in my usage of internet to a point where my kids don't catch me now talking about rimming and all these things?
So in the physical world, right, or as a parent, there's a way you must carry yourself, conduct yourself. We know there are conversations that we can have, but we cannot have those conversations. But when it comes to social media, we forget those things.
We post ourselves drinking.
We post ourselves drinking. We post ourselves doing all sorts of things. We say all sorts of things. We do all sorts of things, thinking or no, those are the norms. But that's not how it is. That's not how it is, because Bana have access to these things. And Baho copy from us.
Yeah.
And but this is how things must be done on social media. So we have, as parents, we have to think about these things. We have to think about the examples that we are setting for those that are coming after us. Because we think about those things already.
And we know we have to protect our kids.
Yeah.
We know why when we drink, we go to the back of the house, we don't want kids around that.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I think we have never learned to know that whatever you are saying or you are doing on the internet is a reflection of your physical.
Exactly. Especially now that social media is a dominant domain in our social lives.
Actually, people don't go to websites as much. People actually go to even there's no more Googling. It's just I'm going to Facebook.
Yeah. Sometimes when I'm looking for a phone number, I don't even go to a directory. I don't even go to Google. I just go to Facebook. I'll get it. Especially if it's an organization. Because if it's an organization, they have all their contact details in there.
Even Olimutu, you've sold something before. I'll find you your number through groups and whatever.
Exactly. So we have to see, online platforms as part of our social domains, and therefore we must, carry ourselves in a manner we believe it aligns with our values and the norms that we want to, demonstrate.
Yeah, I was looking at Australia last week, and they have a law that's coming that's going to prohibit kids under the age of 16 to have access to any form of social media whatsoever.
In fact, they've already, and that's where, you see, here's the thing. So I have a friend who's based in Ireland. European countries and all these first world countries were in the forefront of, technological innovation and all that. Even including in their education systems, introducing the use of, devices, gadgets in classrooms. And then they realize that, there's a problem here.
Yeah.
We focused a lot on access and forgot that, meaningful use comes with positive attitudes and habits and behaviors. And we forgot to build those before let's give these people. Because with good driving, that's what we do.
Yeah.
We're driving school for about a month. Everything, not just indicator. So it works the same way, even with the use of digital technologies. And now what these countries are doing, they are rolling back now, because they realize. I mean, in the the Nordic countries, they are always ahead. Both Finland, both Sweden, both Norway. Now they are rolling back. They are taking gadgets. The textbook.
Yeah, because there is a whole lot more that happens in there.
And also, here's the other thing. We've recently published guidebooks for students, and I've had people come to me, why don't you just put them online? I said, here's the thing. And, luckily or fortunately, as a cyber psychologist, I've learned to understand, habits about when it comes to engagement with technology or through technology. Engagement is very little with online content rather than with a physical book.
Yeah.
So these countries have then realized, yes, as much as, it's easy, it's convenient, there's access, but engagement, because even right now, when you go on social media, your engagement with the content is very low because there's just so much and you want to consume everything at once. Right, so when you want to consume everything at once, you pay little attention. Yeah. You're not engaging more with the content and even thinking about it and applying your mind and, interrogating what you're consuming. And by design, you keep scrolling.
It keeps going.
By the end of the day, so what did you consume today? You remember little because you
probably remember the most stupid things.
Stupid things. So that's what they realize. We have a program that we are running. It's called the CyberSmart Schools Roadshow in partnership with Mascom and Bokra. So we're going around schools and we're interacting with teachers. And then you realize, teacher, they're concerned. We tell a they're distracted.
I was actually going to ask you there that, let's say we want to reduce paper and want to reduce heavy books, right? There are devices. If I remember, there was one called Kindle, back in the Amazon Kindle.
Yes.
It had no push notifications, but it was digital and you could read books off of that thing.
Yeah.
Couldn't we have gone that direction for books' sake than give them a laptop that can install
it's open and kids can do whatever. At the beginning we were told they were going to block access to these things.
There's Google in those things, right?
Yeah.
So you can find what to do.
Boss, we have had teachers they element class in teacher task pornography classing. There's teachers that have come out to say that. These teachers that have come out to say task about by research. Facebook, TikTok, the videos at TikTok, is because we failed at the beginning. Even to make sure that they have an understanding of all these issues that we're talking about. The foundation has to be built on the habits, the attitudes, the relaying, the behavior as relaying for there to be meaningful use. If we don't address these issues, we are always going to be, crying out about, hey, bana, can't
we want to blame government for giving kids computers?
Yeah.
But we have never taught our kids how to use a computer properly.
There needs to be comprehensive digital citizenship education, digital literacy, awareness raising. It has to be part and parcel of our education system. In fact, some of the guidebooks that we have developed right now are for teachers, guiding teachers on how to integrate online safety education in lessons. Whether it's Botswana, whether it's maths, whether it's commerce, it should be included because all these things are now happening online.
Yeah. And you come to think about it now, the crimes that we are used to, right?
Yeah.
It's no longer about physically. It's now about the fact that the person is using content as alcohol to show what.
Exactly.
You look at GBV now. In this case, I was actually watching something that day in South Africa where they were saying 12-year-old kids can actually go to jail for this because you have committed a crime. And this includes child pornography, sharing of indecent pictures, or using or filming someone without their permission over a conversation. I'm with you, I'm with a girl on the phone or whoever on the phone,
Yeah.
and I'm busy saying, no, Ntamole, can't then I'm recording on the other hand. So, such things are crimes that are real. GBV, and I don't know how long it's going to take for people to understand what GBV is not blue eye.
Yeah.
It's
No.
other things. Look at the case that I won't mention by name of someone who ended up going to hug a tree.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it all started within the internet.
Yes.
Between the two of them or three of them as parties, maybe they could have been solved.
Yes.
But because someone decided to go and post that, it landed with us losing a life.
Absolutely, man. And we have to be thinking about these things, the consequences. You know, even mobile I see a lot of it. Modi group earlier. You know, imagine when you think you have a 12-year-old or a 10-year-old wako school innocent, nothing could go wrong. They are going through a lot, and sometimes we don't even create an atmosphere where they can talk to us freely and openly about these things. And come so into abuse, AIDS, and everything. Just about a month ago, a 13-year-old girl took her own life in the East End in Joburg.
Yeah.
So these things are they can happen here. I mean, some of the groups I've seen, the junior. There's one of the mothers called me up on things that were being said about her from one daughter. You know? And I'm sitting there thinking, hey, but imagine she's still young. One from one like 13.
Yeah. 12 actually. Yeah.
Oh, 12.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, 12. Who you was saying, hore, mwana yo 12. And I want to go and my youngest is 12 years old. And you say, one and got hack up bolelo didn't say, and keep us, you know, one I can, so parents have to be thinking about this thing. Even things of sexual nature. A 13-year-old, hey, 13-year-old, hey, a 13-year-old. Kola paying a 13-year-old.
King one, it's a baby.
Hey, can't take us kolong kwa na ledi group utsailing hore o bolelwa di utsailing hore wena you can't even fathom ngwana gago I'll go through this.
So now we need to drive out obviously these things to people. You're already on a movement to do this.
Yeah.
But being on a movement is one thing. How much support are you getting in terms of understanding? Kana sometimes it's not about what someone is giving, it's about someone saying, will open this door for you to have this conversation.
It's not easy. Botswana, you know, man, when you're pioneering something, when you're, you know, as an initiator, you're pushing something, saying, because Botswana, we don't believe in new ideas. Botswana, we don't see a problem until we are very reactionary. I'll give you an example. During COVID, about misinformation just because
it was affecting
it was,
a
lot of people were spreading, lies about COVID and things like that. And I remember, hey, we need to do something about that. Even issues are the cybercrime. Often, because it has happened to someone or one. So even the people that call me, I mean, I've had people that call me, hey, the solution is comprehensive public education and awareness. And awareness, just for the general public. Right from the top, we need to understand these things. I mean, during the previous regime, guys, we are launching, like I remember launching this GAPS, this free, open Wi-Fi. And I remember one of the officers, senior officers, guys, please make sure that, about connectivity. Paragraph online safety. And I remember at the height of the HIV/AIDS pandemic in Botswana, there was a presidential directive. Every speech, say a minister, at the end, it must have a paragraph. Batum. Moharu, Rtasitsi, Aridrin 1, 2, 3. And it has gotten to a point where guys, come on, make sure at least more speeches are minister issues of online safety. Make sure connectivity and access and things like that, and digital transformation with no safeguards is meaningless. Is meaningless. Right. In fact, it's more harmful.
Yeah, because
to give people these tools. Yeah,
you are showing people things that are exciting them, and you're not telling them the other side of the coin.
The other side of the coin.
Yeah. Wow. So let's look at Botswana who cry foul social media, especially with the Khanyan Tsamadi. It looks like it's a trend that Botswana gets scammed a lot, not just locally, even outside the country. Because initially we were afraid of Nigerians because of 419 or Yahoo Boys. Now it's here, but we still fall into those traps of being scammed. What happens in somebody's mind to end up getting...
And the scammers are here among us, you know? You see, and it's interesting you're saying that, because I'm always on radio, I'm always on TV, we are always everywhere really talking about these things. Lema Podisi, every now and then they will issue press releases, but even though by issue the press release, the incident, and we're always saying, oh, come on, we need continuous, comprehensive publication on these things. People are too trusting, and also people are looking for quick gains. Because these scammers are smart, man. These scammers are very smart. Just last week, somebody sent me a message on a text on WhatsApp. Last week, there's some scam and I WhatsApp. How do you invest my D and how do you buy link to Choppies, Baragaya Choppies. So fortunately, I have contacted the IT director of Choppies. Hi, Romela Yanaga. When I'm scam I'm Romela that guy. Are you aware of this? And no, we're not aware. We're not even involved. We don't even know this. This guy lost 10,000. I'm saying last week. 10,000 pula. You invest 10,000 pula, then after 7 days you get this much, after 14 days you get this much, after 21 days you get this much. Okay, 7 days guys. No, you need to put more money to cash out.
And someone fell for that.
Yeah, last week. Just last week. And I'm not if we're talking what month are we in?
We're in
August 2025.
Yeah.
Tota surely we expect hore halele bangwe ba ba se ba tlhaloganya dio tse hore ga o romele madi le motho sa moitsi go tsenya madi mo sennaneng hewe dio tse tsa bo forex tse tse hore batho ba romela batho madi go trade le ho because re tsaba di graph tse di confuse di numbers di ntsi
yeah
so tsa on trade le ho and then kanti how moitsi you have never met these things is about the Bitcoin scammers. Yeah. Invest money after this month, after a couple of days, atawadabos and things like that. There's still people who are losing out money, a lot of money to these things.
Yeah. But again, maybe people are losing trust on the system. So I'm not sure how many people still trust the bank can make you money versus going to gamble somewhere else, which now brings this topic where we have a new trend in Botswana.
Yeah.
People are not looking for jobs. They're looking to win off bets and so on. Shortcut to money. How do we educate Bato? Look, money, yes, bank America this way, this works this way, but money is a high risk, especially on the internet space.
Botswana is always praised for its fight HIV/AIDS.
Yeah.
We won. Well, I don't know if we really won, but I think we won.
We had.
I think we won.
Win, yeah.
Because of intentional, aggressive public education. We didn't just sit. Hey, it was everywhere. I mean, I remember because I was like 18, 19 year old, and I was an HIV/AIDS peer educator. So I was involved in making sure that the message, we promote behavioral change. That's what we need to do. We made sure we promote behavioral change. Exposure. And we need the same approach. Whether ke ko sekolong, like I said, in the curriculum, in different forums, go dikgotleng. You know, we have another campaign called the Cybercrime Awareness Roadshow that we started last year. And bringing kinds of cybersecurity, online safety, cybercrime, where we can have the discussion about these issues the same way we have the discussion about any other issue. Could demystify the issues of technology, because sometimes in Nagar, hey, technology, you know how we can be sometimes, but so, hey, can I do some technology? Hey. So what we then did, we developed a program. Yaanong gape re bua ka language e leng gore e ba letela gore ba phuthuloge di stories tse ne re di utlwa. I mean, I remember le ko Masunga, I think ne re le ko Masunga, you know, one of the guys, I think in le mongwe wa dikgosi le gona bua gore o na jelwa 14,000 pula. Mongwe wa advertise dikgomo on Facebook, go te dikgomo tse must go, ke na le sekoloto ke batla go cleara go hongwe ke 1,000 pula per head, you know, o na le 14,000 pula romela. Abasumula communicate le motho ka wa no nna nka direka gone yana ke na le madi di go kae ga te di go hongwe gone go North East ikwa gote okay no itaganne romela madi gone yana because motho go mongwe emeletse gone yana o ile Francis Town o ile bankeng go tsa madi, so romela gone yana aba romela 14,000 pula di gomo o di bone kae o di bone mo snapping hela mo Facebook 14,000 pula gone.
Okay, so now tips actually around there. How do you know it's going to be a scam?
Yeah, you know, at the beginning, it was exciting to do these things online because, technology to say this convenience. Look for red flags, and usually red flags are not on those inside. Hey, mungwa, rumela, yatama, kana. It looks incredibly cheap. Yeah. Hey, hoto komo 1,000 pool. Ugula wana kaya 1,000 pool. Kana ili GD6. GD6 kana ra irata mo maso tsone GD mongwe la le ba bana le tsone o ipona na kana le sa 5 go te ke 70,000 rands it. There are those pages go South Africa,
repossessed
all those things. Hey ba sona losing money ba ka di GD6 tsa 90,000 pool kolo ya 400 and something thousand we libile ya no ri ba tompona go mpeko Botswana are losing money. I've heard so many people call us to say, guys, can you kana matakaba ya numba ha mpole go ba lenteng. You know, I remember when I wrote in one of these Facebook groups. So ra lebella address e ba etseng because South Africa gona le di postal codes. Re postal code ra check gore postal code ya go ka re tla gore anya mo ke right line hela. Aba re se dikoloi. And then one phone number ra ba phone ba confirm you are not the first ones.
Yeah.
And we do it madi ya GD6 70,000 people. Brand new or we level so it's those things. There's so many things, but now what I'm saying to people, especially when it comes to social media vendors, how don't. I've had people because we offer web verification services. You know. Can you verify this thing is legit? South Africa. If there are no safeguards, there's no refund policy, and also it's not a vendor where if things go wrong,
But so we know that when you are going to buy something online, you're going to go through this API platforms or online payment gateways and so on. However, some guys are so smart that they end up having this kind of gateways and money does go to someone.
So it is insecure.
And they're not trackable. Who do we blame there? Do we blame the financial services providers or who do we blame? Because I bought something, you buy something online, I'm buying it now. I've paid and I saw that I paid online with my card. It went somewhere.
Yeah.
Who verifies where? Sending money, I know that's an easy one to fall for. But where I've used my card to actually make a payment.
Yeah. Because remember the bank says do not insert your banking credentials in platforms that is verified. Their legitimacy is not verified. So in most cases, we're not going to do the pause. Because how I check, You know, the technology, anybody can create whatever system they want to create, even a gateway, just for the purposes of, eBay. You know eBay, right? I know a lot of guys that lost money, but a lot of people go eBay. Only a fake eBay. Only a payment gateway by Dirsan. I know people who have come to me and Timberland, eBay, and they lost their money. But let's bring it home.
Yeah.
It says that the mobile money scams.
Yeah.
Right? Hey, go network, 2, 3, update your KYC or your whatever mobile money, account. We're doing 1, 2, 3. And then in most cases, but they never share their OTP with these guys.
Hey, no, these people don't have your phone.
They don't have but lansing when listening. But number OTP. Okay, pay number number and then go your network provider.
You transacted.
Okay. OTP ha share lope. PIN number ha share lope. Right?
Yeah.
Hey, so the bank PIN number ha share lope. In most cases, these guys are very manipulative. Manipulator can't share numbers as one or share accounting transact.
But tell me, how do these guys know which mobile network to use? Because I've never received a call on my Mascom number that says scams. I've received it.
Yeah.
On the contrary, I'm openly, I've received it with Orange Money.
Yeah.
And it seems like when you look at social media and you're checking this out, it sounds like Orange Money is the biggest denominator on this, right?
Yeah.
How do they know that it's easier with Orange Money than Mascom or BTC?
Yeah, I think because Orange has the biggest market share. Mobile money. Yeah, most people use Orange Money. And then also what we have discovered, there's a syndicate. Okay. There's a syndicate that involves guys who have inside information and are sharing this information with scammers. In fact, this syndicate includes guys who are in jail and they have mobile phones and they are calling from jail.
Yeah, there's a story we covered last year. Was it Mulepulole?
Yes.
Where guys were running this business from Mulepulole prison.
Exactly. So it's a syndicate, And then put when able to modi meetings are on modi meetings are on but what's a phone number zaron? It and because somebody knew Oronalemadi and then they knew your phone number and I remember one of the workshops in Rana. This was for the elderly. Ko Ramotsa. Rewar bolela hore me ga na pension. Ile etsa na hela. Half mela ko pension fund ba mara no madita ba tsene ka 12. Nyawa go tsena go ba serengeng o tsa ba se wa Ramotsa o bolela rrabo gore ke mo tseleng gate madita ba tsene ka 12 so ke tala peng re terene ha se re budget. Hazana mo ba se mogala wa goro hey re letsa re le go bokete ne re update this and that hey di stories one tse di scammer nya mo se di mogolo wa ba bolela a tsena go lapeng nna ha se le rabo ya no ba re ba lebella gore sente gate go tsena bo ka re budget
all gone.
Aile.
Okay, so now in wrapping up, most common crimes or most common activity that we fall victim to in Botswana, which ones would you share and how do we get rid of them?
Yeah, I mean, well, cyber scams are rampant. Okay. Those that involve, mobile money, mobile phones, because Botswana generally, yes, we use emails, but cell phone, the common there's an article that I've written, I'm publishing it very soon, about just how the majority of us, if law enforcement authorities were to one day say, things we say on social media are illegal and there's a lot of cyberbullying in Botswana, there's a lot of cyber harassment in Botswana. We say whatever we want to say, especially against Baholwane or prominent persons. and majority of people that is cybercrime. That is cybercrime. Cyber harassment, cyber stalking, cyber bullying, it's cybercrime. It's there in
even
the law.
illegal transactions, not necessarily legal, but unverifiable transactions that we do.
Yeah.
You know, you have something to give me instead of me paying you in normal channels. I'm trying to find a back way to pay you.
Yeah.
So getting out of these things, obviously, law enforcement, do you think Botswana is ready to actually start enforcing laws around cyber-related offenses?
Well, I understand Botswana police, they are currently reviewing the cybercrime and computer-related crimes to try and give it a bit more weight. And also, kind of technology evolves every day. So how we tell what 2015 today it's outdated, so we have to keep up with the trends. But I truly believe we can. I mean, the world over, I think cyber criminals are or seem to be having an upper hand. We're always playing catch up, right? There's the dark web. If we were to get into that, there's a lot going on in there. There's a lot going on in there in terms of especially data is being traded in there. Our profiles are being traded in there and things like that. But hella, what needs to be done? We need two things. We need to intensify public education, because the strongest line of defense for me, in my view, is at an individual level. Yeah. When you are aware and you are empowered and you are equipped with the knowledge you need for you to see this one. That text. I got that link. Re hokotsa tiro ya mapodisi. Re hokotsa tiro ya go di banke madi a tsewa ba simula ba dila le di claim and things like that, le di cases tse di tang. So if we intensify publication, we make sure mongwe le mongwe wa tlhaloganya wa ikitse gore ka ipaballa yang. And then re also equip law enforcement so that they can tsibogela diots. So that's all we need. Just two things. Then we'll be good.
All right. AI, deep fakes, and so on. What is happening, and what are there any crimes? Now you are here.
Yeah.
We have your visual.
Yeah.
Video.
Yeah.
I can do anything after this. I can
with my voice.
I can change what you said, your facial expression, everything. How are we prepared to manage such things? Because
yeah. And then I've seen a lot of people's Facebook accounts got hacked because this deep fake trend, especially on social media. Who create a link to some website, is insecure and malware, and hackers used to hack into your devices, your accounts, right? And then he was not aware that he was being recorded. What's into a picture? Mr. Satar, and then because
clickbait.
Hey.
All right.
And then that's it. Your account, you have given hackers access to your account, to your device. And then in your device, that's where you have saved a lot of things. The PIN code, did you save your code? If I have access to your device, I can do anything and everything that I want to do because we've saved the password to go. We have saved your ZDNC go. So you have to be careful what you click, especially on social media. You have to be careful of the websites that you visit, where you input your banking details. Because how will you want to buy on Amazon? These guys are very smart. They create a fake Amazon and then Amazon. All
right. Thank you very much, David. And
thank you so much.
Our conversation on the things that we try to get pioneers and drivers of opinion and obviously ideas into the things that to try and help you elevate yourself and grow yourself. And I think today we have learned something. You are the only safety net that you have, including for you, your family, and your children. Let's watch out what we do on the internet. And again, guide our behavior and be a better citizen.